Good morning and welcome back to Miniature Monday here on Gaming with ADHD, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Snord's Irregulars Assault Lance and the miniatures contained therein from Catalyst Game Labs for Battletech. Now, this is another pack in their continuing series of releasing sets of miniatures appropriate to different units, whether they're mercenaries, house units, which we haven't seen any of those yet, but I have a suspicion they're coming soon. Basically we're going to look at some close-ups of the miniatures themselves, some 360 views, and we're also going to compare it to the art that inspired these figures. Now, with the mercenary packs that they've been putting out, most of the figures have been reprints, usually like a repose, but they're typically miniatures that have already been released, although they do include one brand new figure. And so in my earlier videos, we would show all of the art that moved up and inspired, whereas this time we're just going to focus on the original piece of art and the most recent piece of art that I have access to. Typically, the art comes off of sarna.net, but we will show more for the new figure. So with that out of the way, do make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I try to put out a few videos each week covering all sorts of tabletop gaming content, whether it's Battletech or board games or role-playing games. I'd love for you to come along and see what we have to share. And in addition, I do have links down below to our social media, and also Drive-Thru RPG, where you can purchase PDFs of your favorite role-playing games, including Battletech. And it does give a little bit of kickback to the channel at no cost to you. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. All right, and our first mech up is the Highlander. Now, in this case, this is Rhonda Snord's Highlander. It's pretty much the same, although it does include the large weapon on the left torso, as you can see there. The piece of art that we have up first is the original Highlander that was in technical readout 2750. A lot of that early kind of technical drawing style, but still, kind of implying this big, massive mech, that's gonna wreck you. Now, in this case, I am also including one of the pieces of art from the collectible card game. And the reason for that is because Rhonda was known to paint her mech in bright pink, and as you can see, had giant speakers so that on the battlefield she could blast ancient rock and roll music. And by ancient, I mean 80s rock and roll. 1980s, not 2080s. Or you know what I mean. Not rock music of the time period. So, set in the game. So, anyways, it's just an interesting quirk. I am a little disappointed in the figure that if they're going to be making some customizations, they didn't include the speakers on the figure, or at least, some extra bits that you could attach if you actually wanted speakers. I suppose you could model something. But I did want to point that out. And then finally, we have the Ill Clan era art for the mech. In this case, showing off the urban mech that is seen in the, I believe, Northwind Highlanders box, where you get the jumping Highlander. And the alternate base includes the urban mech that it's stepping on. So, anyways, overall, I mean, it's a good figure, nice repose, a little bit of resculpt with the torso weapon as well. But overall, good figure, and looking forward to painting it up in some bright pink. But that's our first mech, the Highlander. All right, next up we have an interesting one. This is what's known as the Snord Rifleman. It is a Frankenmech, meaning it is cobbled together from a variety of parts. In this case, a Warhammer arm, a rifleman torso and legs, the left torso and arm of an archer, the head of a phoenix hawk, and it's a bit of a mess here. Now, in this case, this figure is going to require a little bit of extra modeling. I do think it's cool that they've given you some extra bits. I just wish they would have been a little bit more explicit about what they are. The inclusion of I'm looking at them, I'm guessing they're supposed to be firing missiles, but I'm not quite sure about the attachment points for them. I don't know. It's interesting. I like that they added it, and for the flavor of the unit, the Snord's Irregulars, it's something that Sneed is known for, but there's also, like, outside of the Alpha Strike card that they include, I wasn't able to find any particular record sheets for it. I probably just need to do some more digging. Might be in the Snord's Irregulars, campaign pack. I don't know. I'll have to do some more digging on that. But overall, it's an interesting figure, especially when you look at the art provided on the pilot card. It is basically, he didn't even bother repainting it. Just like wherever he got the parts from, just left the original paint on there. So it can absolutely make for some interesting modeling and painting opportunities. But be aware that you will have to actually, put a little bit of this figure together as opposed to just doing it yourself. The art that I have here is, basically comes from the Samuel Sneed character page, because there's no pictures of his mech anywhere outside of this one. So it's an interesting figure. It'll be fun. Personally, I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I would ever get it to the table, but it's fun to have regardless. All right, next up we have the Guillotine. Now, the Guillotine originally appeared in Tech Readout 2750, similar to the Highlander. Now, because the Snord's Irregulars were actually an offshoot of Wolf's Dragoons, that does mean they did come from the clans, and actually would have access to some of the older advanced technology that was lost during the Succession Wars. Now, in this case, the original art, to me, that is the iconic version of the Guillotine. When I think of a guillotine, this is what I think of. Originally drawn, as you can see from the signature, 1989. It has definitely got an upgrade when we move to the Ill-Clan version of the art. I actually really like this one, and I'll be honest, I did not realize that the Guillotine was a jumping mech, and so they've actually included that as part of the mech pack. They've been, as they've released different mercenary units this year, they've actually started including a variant that is jumping that you can swap out. And there we go. We've got the jump jets activated. Honestly, this is probably, in my opinion, one of the better jumping mechs. It's not adding too much height to the figure, but it's definitely it definitely adds a little bit more dynamism to the pose. Actually, I would even say gets a little bit closer to the Ill-Clan art. I do wish that it looked like it had a little bit more forward momentum. It sort of looks like it's jumping backwards, but yeah, overall, it's a fun look. I'm not quite sure how I will actually paint this one, whether I will paint it with the jump jets engaged or with the mech on the ground. But I actually think this is also one of the better options, where it looks good on the ground. Yes, you can see one of the pegs underneath one of the feet, but you can see that on a lot of other mechs that have raised feet as well. Usually just a little bit of black paint, because I just paint my bases black. Painting the peg black, you don't even notice it anyways. So overall, really, really happy with this figure. Like I said, looks very, very in line with the art, and is just, it's gonna be a fun mech to paint up. All right, and last up we have our new mech. This is the Spartan, originally making its appearance in the Ronda's Irregulars scenario pack from 1991. And this is obviously a brand new mech from that pack. It's got that old classic, look, the sketch to it, and the new art is this one from 3058. I will be honest, I am not the biggest fan of the art for this guy, and the figure itself is not my favorite either. I think it's great that they added it, because it's very appropriate for the faction in question. I even think that that this piece of the miniature actually holds pretty close to this 3058 piece of art. I'm not sure if there was an Ill Clan version. I haven't gotten all of the Ill Clan recognition guides. But overall, it's a solid piece of art, and a figure that's pretty close and looks pretty good either way. Not necessarily going to be one that I field a lot, but eventually, yeah, it's going to get painted up too. Too many named characters out of units like this to not do it. But overall, I mean, overall, for this particular pack, I would say it's definitely a mid-range. If you want another Highlander, it's going to be a great pack to get. If you want the new Spartan, obviously it's going to be kind of a no-brainer. But other than that, personally, if it wasn't for the reviews, I'm not sure this one would be high on my list to pick up as opposed to one of the other sets. But it is fun seeing the new figures come out, seeing how they're taking existing molds, changing them up, and nice to know that they aren't just, sticking to what they've already got. They're trying to do different things, trying to put more things out there, and obviously there's a lot of love being put into the line. So there we go. That is the Snord's Irregulars pack. I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a like. Make sure you're subscribed. As I said, new content coming all the time. But other than that, thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.